What's up, everybody? My name is Josh LaFleur with Late Star Piano. Today, we're going to be talking about the negatives of learning too many songs at once. So, for those of you who like to, maybe have 4 or 5 different songs that you're working on, all different difficulty levels, it's not necessarily always a bad thing for me to know for sure. I'd have to be your teacher, kind of see where you're at, what your goals are. But in general, especially if you're an adult, especially if you're brand new to the piano, as in it's in your first year, then we need to kind of take a step back and not be working on 4 or 5 different songs at once. So reason number one is because when you're just starting out, you want to be able to focus on the musts that you need to learn. So for example, you need to focus on reading music. You need to focus on where the notes are. You need to focus on your hand coordination pieces. You need to focus on certain aspects of music theory like chords and scales. So that's point number one. You need to focus on the absolute essentials, not necessarily learning a bunch of different songs all at once, right? And learning your scales, learning your chords, learning music theory, learning how to play with both hands together, all of those things will help you in the future learn multiple songs at once if you want to. But in the beginning, as a baseline, you should be working on the fundamentals first. And the fundamentals, like I said, reading music, knowing what the notes are, knowing scales, knowing chords, things like that. You should really have a good grasp on that before you start learning all these different songs. If you don't know your scale of F major and you're trying to play a song in F major, it's going to be much more difficult for you to play that song. It's going to take a lot longer. You're going to feel really frustrated learning it, and it's just not worth it. You can bypass that negative emotion, those negative feelings, just by learning that scale first, and I promise it's going to help you play the actual song because the song is going to be made up mostly of notes from that scale. And you're already going to have that in your hands. You're going to know how to play the F major scale in both your right and your left hand, and that's going to translate exactly to the song. You're also going to know the chords. So you're going to know F major, you're going to know C major, your C7, and then B flat major, right? The 1, 4, 5. You're already going to know how to play those chords. You're already going to know how to play those inversions, and it's going to make it a lot easier for you once you have that down instead of just jumping right into the song with no knowledge of any of that. Point number two is when you are just starting out, you want to get pieces under your belt. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to have a bunch of different songs that you're working on and then you get to a point where they're either too tough for you so you can't continue, or you have so many going on at once that you kind of just get confused, you get lost, and you never end up finishing any of the songs. And this is a problem because if you are a motivated beginner piano player, you probably want to play a lot of different songs, right? Maybe you want to play some classical pieces, maybe you want to play some pop pieces, maybe some rock and roll pieces, maybe some jazz. You might have a lot of different interests that you want to play, and that's probably the whole reason why you got into the piano in the first place, so that you can play those songs that you always have wanted to, right? But in the beginning, it's very important that you kind of fight that urge to jump into a bunch of different things because you want to learn how to learn songs. And this is very important because you want to get songs under your belt. You want to be able to start a song and then finish the song and be able to play it. You don't want to be starting a bunch of different songs, like I said, play it halfway through or a third of the way through and then stop. You want to understand and learn the process of learning a song from start to finish. Another good thing about doing that is learning from start to finish is then you'll have songs under your belt so that you can actually play songs. You're not constantly learning new songs, right? So once you have certain songs under your belt, then you can play them for other people. You can show them off your new skills. If you just want to have fun one day and you want to do some improvising and just play songs you already know, you can do that because you know full songs from start to finish. And it's a good feeling. It's going to be a confidence booster because you're going to know different songs. And they can be easier songs too, right? So they don't have to be like 8-page long songs. They can be a single page or 2 pages. And then once you start learning those from start to finish, those start to build up. So now you have maybe 3 or 4 different songs that you can play in full. And it's going to be a confidence booster because you're going to be able to see a lot of the same things. You're going to actually know songs and be able to perform them for yourself and for other people. Point number 3, we kind of touched on this already, but it's going to be very overwhelming and frustrating for you if you try to play too many songs all at once, especially if you haven't done that baseline work, right? If you haven't built that foundation, then it's going to be very tough for you to learn a bunch of different songs all at once. And when you start to feel really frustrated and you start to feel unmotivated, what tends to happen? You probably already know. People tend to quit. And you don't want to quit piano, I'm sure, especially if you're just starting now. You might have that newness feeling, right? Like it's brand new, and you want to just keep going and you want to stay motivated and you don't want to quit. So to try to prevent that from even becoming a thought in your brain that you want to quit, to prevent that thought, right? Let's not do that. Let's not try to play 8 different songs at once. Let's stick to very basic songs, learn them one by one. And then after 6 months or so, we can reevaluate, see where you're at, and maybe we can learn more difficult songs, or maybe we can learn 2 or 3 songs at once. But at least within that first 6-month period, for sure, just learn one song at a time, work on those fundamentals that we already talked about. And point number 4 is you want the successes early on. So you want to be able to succeed with learning the pieces that you're working on. And this shouldn't take very long, especially if you're a beginner. And again, you haven't really been playing a lot. For short-term goals, short-term pieces, which is what you should be working on early on, I would say 1 to 2 weeks at a max. You should be able to go from not knowing anything about the song to playing it in 2 weeks at the most. And again, so that would be, if it's really slow progress for you, that would be 2 songs a month. That is definitely doable for most people. And you're going to be building your repertoire, building your confidence, building your successes with the piano if you can learn 2 songs a month. Ideally, we'd want to get that down to 1 song per week that you can know, that you can feel really good about and learn from start to finish. That way we could learn up to 4 songs a month potentially. And again, after that 6-month period, then we can dive into other things. But hope that helps. Hope that shows you kind of why you want to work on 1 song at a time, at least in the beginning. Work on the fundamentals, work on the 1 song, and then up it from there. With all that said, I do have a free guide on my website. Link is down below. It will teach you more about mindset and approach, practice strategies, and music theory. It's completely free. Just get that at the link down below. I am offering piano lessons right now via Zoom. To get started with those, send me an email. We'll set up a day and a time that works best for you. Happy practicing. My name is Josh LaFleur with Late Start Piano.